Welcome to another Dragonlance Saga episode. Today I'm playing through Prisoners of Pax Tharkas, the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Adventure Gamebook, written by Morris Simon and released in February 1985. It is currently Bakukal, Florogin the 28th, and my name is Adam. I always wonder, does anyone know what I'm saying when I say those references? It's Salamnic for the day and the month, for those not in the know. I know it's a little bit strange and kooky, but that's kind of me. That's my jam. It is Friday, everyone. Let's have a good one. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Ring the bell, and you can support this channel by becoming a patron on Patreon, a member of the YouTube channel, and you can pick up Dragonlance gaming materials using my affiliate link. All links are in the description below. Now, I have a live chat set up, so if you want to jump in and say hi or help me make choices, I encourage it. I have it on the lowest lag setting that's possible for YouTube, so it shouldn't be too much, and there should be, the ability for us to go back and forth a little bit. I want to give a little bit of background about these, what these game books really are. And I did it in the last show, but I'm assuming not everyone watches everything I do. So on the off chance that you don't, let me give you a little background. So there were originally 18 different game books published from 1985 to 1988, 4 of which are set in the Dragonlance Saga world, which is pretty fantastic. So Prisoner of Pax Tharkas was the first one, and that's the one we're playing today. I think it was number 4 is the Soul Forge, number 10 was Lords of Doom, and I think 16 or something like that is Shadows over Nordmar. Now, I just secured copies of all of them. So, for those of you who care, I will be playing through each of them in their own time, just to see what the story is like and see how hard it is. Supposedly, the game mechanics evolved throughout the release of these different game books. And so it's going to be interesting to kind of compare and contrast and see how the stories run tangentially or parallel to the novels that are released, shortly after these were originally. Originally, these were all titled Super Endless Quest Adventure Game Books. And if you think that is a mouthful, after the 3rd book was released, they changed the title to Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Super Endless Quest Adventure Game Book. And then, ultimately, after the 4th, they changed it all just to Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Adventure Game Book. So, the point is that it's unlike traditional choose-your-own-adventure game books. These added a dice component and point components so that you can kind of role-play your way through them rather than just making choices narratively. And they have multiple endings or multiple failed endings that you can experience as well. So, that's right, Anthony. More. More adventure. All right, so again, like I mentioned, we are doing the Super Endless Quest Adventure Game Book, Prisoners of Pax Tharkas. For those of you who aren't aware of what Pax Tharkas is, in the Age of Despair where we're running into it, it's being used kind of as a mining camp / slave camp for the Dragon High Lords, for the Red Dragon Army specifically. So we're going to get into where we line up with this particular game here right now. So I got my desk, I've got the book, I've got my trusty die. Don't fail me, I don't even want to curse it by rolling, because my last rolls were horrible. So I've already set up my character. The way you set this up is it shows you right there, you have 9 total skill points that you have to, on your own decision, filter between fighting, observation, and physical prowess. I think the categories are pretty self-explanatory. You get to roll a dice, a single die, and whatever the result is, you can add that as your starting experience points, which is awesome. I wish I had that in Lords of Doom when I played that one, but it didn't. And then hit points, you roll a die. If you get, at any point when you need to roll a die, a 1, 2, 3, or 4, you have the option of re-rolling once, but you have to take that re-roll no matter what. And so I ended up with a 4, unfortunately. But I got 6 for hit points, so I have 36 total hit points. That's probably the only 6 I'm going to get in this entire experience, so let's all cheer for 6. Again, it's Friday, so Slanjavar. I'm enjoying a little Bushmills, a little Irish whiskey. Delicious. Okay, let's get into this. Let's introduce. So these game books come with what doubles as a bookmark, but the character card. You see a digital version represented on screen. They're all available. If you end up picking any of these up, most of them will not have the card, and that's okay because you can get them online for free. And if you guys want, I'll just give you my form that I created. It's a PDF. It's easy to fill in and delete the digital numbers and stuff. It's really easy. And I'll probably just end up putting it on the website, to be honest. DragonLance-Saga.com. Okay, so let's get introduced here to Prisoners of Pax Tharkas. Of course, what we see here is Pax Tharkas. This is written by Morris Simon. The cover art is by Keith Parkinson. Let's get a good look at the cover art. Not the best he's done, if we're being honest. Yeah, Anthony. This is an old book. It was released in '85. So the fact that it still, holds its binding as well as it does, it's barely even been used, it looks like, which I like because I'm going to use it. All right, so let's get into this thing, huh? All right. Our character. In this book, you are Bairn Valenshield, a young ranger of 20 whose home is in the Crystalmire Valley region of the continent of Ansalon in the world of Krynn, described in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dragonlance Adventure game modules and the novel trilogy Dragonlance Chronicles. Your world is an unusual one, inhabited by elves, dwarves, and other, often dangerous creatures, but so far it's been reasonably a good one. Armed with your mighty volcanic steel sword Fireborn, given to you by your father, you have honed your ranger skills during many adventures. You don't know it yet, but you're about to face your greatest challenge in the form of the evil dragon High Lord Verminard and his legions of magical fire-breathing dragons and other fearsome creatures that threaten your homeland. Now, for those of you who are unaware, Verminard is the Dragon High Lord of the Red Dragon Army, and he's a descendant of Huma Dragonbane himself. How awesome is that? And now he's the cleric of Takesis. So, they sort of went back and forth between good and evil in that family. You can't fault them. Okay, so I've already done all the setup. We'll explain the game mechanics as we go. It pretty much tells you what to do if this is anything like the last one. But let's dive into the story. This runs parallel to Dragons of Autumn Twilight. The familiar odor of burning wood as you approach Solace makes your empty stomach rumble as your mind conjures images of Odic, the cook's specialty at the end of the last home, spicy fried potatoes. You've traveled most of the night on the rugged mountain trail, and your home village is only a few miles farther. As tired as you are, your pace quickens as you climb the steep cliff road, eager to see your familiar homeland. You top the rise, expecting to see the lights of Solace twinkling in the trees. Solace is a tree village. Every dwelling and business in town, with the exception of Theros Ironfeld's blacksmith shop, is built high in the branches of the mighty Valenwood trees. The people of Solace took to the trees during the Reign of Terror following the terrible cataclysm, and they have stayed. Networks of bridges connect Solace, stretching through the leafy bowers just like the limbs of the trees themselves. But as you reach the crest of the hill, you catch your breath in horror. Something is terribly wrong. Instead of the fragrant white smoke of home fires drifting up among the leaves, you see a thick pall of greasy black smoke hanging over the valley. You realize that some great catastrophe has come to Solace in your absence. Turn to 93. Hey, Mark, thanks for joining us live, man. All right, 93. Where is 93? The smoke nearly suffocates you by the time you climb onto Watchman's Ledge and look down upon the ruined, blackened vale. You wonder what terrible catastrophe could have struck since you left only 2 days ago. No storm, no matter how severe, has ever done more than stir the branches of the great trees. Even the cataclysm, when the gods dropped a fiery mountain down upon the world of Krynn, merely forced the natives of Solace to move their homes into the trees. Yet now, everywhere you look, the great trees are nothing but smoldering skeletons. Here and there you spot the remnants of the ancient tree houses that once sheltered the residents of Solace. Burn! Burn Valenshield! A hoarse cry startles your confused mind. You crouch in a fighting stance and grasp the solid hilt of Fireborn, your father's legendary steel sword. Get off the road, Burn! They'll see you! Come and hide in the forest! If you think that the voice might be some sort of trap, turn to 58. If you feel the stranger's warning might well make sense, turn to 130. All right, what do you guys think we should do? Listen to him or not? Here's the image of... Sorry, everything's backwards. I got to remember that. That's the Valenwood trees burning. You know, the first time I actually... just now, the first time I read that description of Solace, even though I have an entire history of understanding this doggone world, it really reminded me of the Ewok village in Return of the Jedi. More than ever before. Hey, Chris, man, thanks for joining live. Lamasu, don't listen to him? I mean, the place is, like, destroyed, right? I mean, we know what it could be, right? Felipe says, not a trap. It's a trap! All right. We got more people saying 130, so we're going to go to 130. It makes sense to me. 130 is that's a good place to start. I got my sword anyway. I got nothing to fear. You leave the road hesitantly, then scramble into a ditch. You hand your hand on the hilt of your sword. You're startled to see an old woman peering cautiously at you. Her face is smudged with sweat and ashes, but you recognize Clava's shriveled, wrinkled features. Clava is a distant cousin, one of your dead mother's kinswomen. What is it, Clava? What terrible thing has happened here? The aged woman collapses against your shoulder, sobbing desperately. It is several minutes before she can control her shaking body enough to speak in a hoarse whisper. They came down from the sky, great red beasts with wings as large as houses. Everywhere they went, they cast darkness and breathed fire. Wait, Cleva, you whisper, you're not making any sense. Perhaps it was only a nightmare? Yes, it was a nightmare come true. As real as the blood of my sister that prompts through both our hearts burned Valenshield. I woke to the cries of children leaping to their deaths from the flaming boughs of the tree homes. I stood below and watched the monsters rain fire and death upon our people. They were dragons, I tell you. The dragons of our darkest legends have returned to Krynn. Turn to 200. Dude. And remember, at this point, dragons were myths. So for her to say that to me, Burn, I'm just like, old lady, you got a cataract, right? Are you sure you saw a dragon? You been smoking some stuff for your cataract? Where is it? It's 200's at the end. All right. Okay, here we go. Come on. Gotta hold it by the edge here. From the look on Clava's face, you know that she is not merely imagining the scene. Some horrible force did descend upon Solace, a force powerful enough to transfer the lush valley of giant Valenwood trees into a smoking wasteland, but you refuse to believe it was done by creatures out of your bedtime stories. Where's my brother, Clava? You demand, trying to divert her attention from the nightmarish vision in her mind. A small glimmer of light appears in her watery eyes. Where's Keegan? You repeat. What happened to him? Did these dragons you saw harm him? Is he... You cannot bring yourself to say the word. Your mother's kinswoman touches your shoulder with her hand. Viewmaster Toady ordered the men, women, and children who survived taken to the blacksmith shop. They're being shipped out in slave caravans to some place called Pax Tharkas. If your brother is alive, he'll be at the smith's forge. Toady? Your lip curls in a sneer. Who put that blob of blubber in charge? Where's Hedrick, the High Theocrat? He was taken away, Burn, Clava says in a low voice. Arrested. Arrested? You repeat, stunned. But he was on the Council of High Seekers. Who's in charge now? Viewmaster Toady, his hobgoblin guards, and the strange, horrible creatures who call themselves Draconians. Some sort of evil cross between men and dragons. Dragons again, you mutter. I've got to find my brother, Clava. I'm going into Solace. No! Clava cries, clutching your arm. There's nothing you can do, Burn. They'll only capture you, too. Kagan will be all right. Escape now. Oh, come on. While you still got the chance. If you decide there's nothing you can do to help Keegan, after all, you can't fight an entire army, turn to 144. But if you're determined to find your younger brother, turn to 173. All right, people. Here's the deal. Do we go after Keegan? Or do we just sort of put our hands up in the air and make our own spiced potatoes, I suppose? It doesn't say what we're going to do if we don't help. Let me know. I'm kind of with you guys. All right, we're all going to do it. We're good people on this channel right now, right? We got hearts of gold here. Thanks everyone new for joining. I appreciate you. All right, 173 it is. We're going to go check out Mahomes, my bro. 173. With a chill in your blood, you turn away from the pleading Clava and, keeping to the woods, trot toward the western edge of town where Solace's only blacksmith's shop is located. You're still several hundred yards away when you first hear the sounds of pitiful wailing. Cries of women and children mingle with harsh voices, speaking common with a strange accent. Hiding among the burned stumps of the once mighty trees, you peer cautiously out at Theros Ironfeld's shop. The sight makes you gasp with horror. Turn to 69. Giggity. Strange-looking creatures, the likes of which you've never seen on Krynn before, work side by side with hobgoblin guards, dragging women and children from the blacksmith's shop and keeping the men under watchful guard. They herd all of them into huge carts that look like prison cells on wheels. The strange creatures have the faces and bodies of reptiles, but they walk upright and handle weapons like men. You also notice small leathery wings sprouting from their backs, and you decide they must be the draconians Clava mentioned. You begin to believe her story about dragons after all. At that moment, Theros, the giant smithy, comes out of the shop, guarded by two draconians. You see a look of hatred on his dusky face, and his huge fists clench in anger at the way the dragon men treat the village women. But he is helpless to do anything. Even as you watch, you see the dragon men force the smithy back to work, repairing their weapons and their armor. Suddenly, a familiar shrill voice twists like a knife in your brain. You see Keegan struggling in the grasp of a large creature dressed in steel armor. Beneath the horned helmet, you recognize the flat, cruel face of a hobgoblin officer. The burly monster is carrying your brother towards the road to join the other captives, and he'll have to pass within a few feet of your hiding place. If you decide to attack the goblin, turn to 79. If you prefer to remain hidden until you have a better opportunity to rescue your brother and the other hostages, turn to 14. All right, people. Are we going to rescue him now? Are we going to seize this opportunity, or are we going to wait? Our cooler head's going to prevail. Let me know. Welcome to the, welcome Dragon High Lord Nona. Nona, your business. How you doing? Attack. All right. Well, I got to do what the Dragon High Lord says in the chat. They're a Dragon High Lord. Sorry, I don't know your gender. I'm just, could be messing it up there. All right, 79 it is. We're going to attack. Dice don't fail me. Everyone's all, wait. You bound from behind the trees and rush the hobgoblin who carries Keegan's struggling body under one arm. The monster's face twists in surprise as it shouts a quick command to the goblin in a goblin language. A squad of 4 goblins rush to their commander's aid as their leader hoists Keegan in front of its armored body as a living shield. The goblins are armed with steel short swords and spears tipped with the same rare metal. They form a bristling semicircle around you, poking the air in front of them with their spear to drive you away from their leader. You tighten your grip on the hilt of Fireborn and swing it at the nearest monster. Roll 2 dice to hit, then add your fighting skill score to the sum of the dice. If the grand total is 10 or more, turn to 188. If the total is less than 10, subtract 2 hit points from your total hit points and turn to 91. All right, we got 2 dice in this one. I wish I had that in the last game. All right, that's 6 plus 4 for fighting. That's 10. All right, we smacked him. 188. Victory! Let my brother go, you green walking bugger. What is 188? 188. Your blade cuts a deep gash into the shoulder of the first attacker, but 3 more goblins rush forward to help. They have you surrounded, backed up against a blackened tree stump, their steel weapons flashing in your face. You know the goblins are poorly trained, unskilled fighters. Fireborn flashes in the sunlight as your first blow catches the nearest goblin's wrist, severing its sword hand from its arm. Suck it, goblin. The edge of the Fireborn... I added that. That's not in the book. The edge of Fireborn is so sharp that the hand still clutches to the sword's hilt as it falls to the ground. The goblin shrieks in agony, while his companions thrust it roughly aside. Dropping to one knee, you grab a handful of powdery dust and fling it into their faces. I hope that's not my cocaine that opened up. That would be terrible. They yell wildly and begin to stagger around, rubbing their eyes. You bound forward, screaming in rage. Your blade flashes in the morning light. A deadly sliver of steel dances among the dull-witted goblins. The goblins turn and race towards the road, screaming for help. You disappear back into the cover of the brush. Turn to 89. Aw, yeah. That's probably going to be the only victory I get. The last game has anything. You too! The hobgoblin leader cries at the 2 draconian guards in this, guarding the smithy. After him! The fight is your problem, not ours, one of the draconian men replies coldly. We have orders to stay with the smith. While they are arguing, you see Theros make a quick gesture with his head. It looks like he's trying to signal you. You decide to sneak to the smith's yard to find out what he's trying to tell you. Roll to see if you succeed. Roll 1 die and add the result to your observation skill score. If this total is 6 or more, turn to 81. If it's less than 6, you failed. Were struck over the head and captured. Roll 1 die for damage and deduct the result from your hit points, then turn to 114. Jeez, that's severe. All right, so my observation is 2. I need to roll a 4 or higher. Oh, come on, baby. Come on. Come on! Yeah! All right. Total is 6 or more, turn to 81. Whew. You see some of the Fewmaster's horses tethered in the yard near the blacksmith's shop. That gives you an idea. Keeping an eye on the draconian guards lounging in the shade of the smithy's porch, you sneak out of the woods and creep over near the forge. Theros, you call softly, timing it between the smith's clanging hammer blows. The big man raises his head, sees you, glances at the guards, then continues his work as if he had heard nothing. But you see him nod slightly to let you know he is listening. I need a horse, you whisper. Can you give me some cover? The smith grins. Take that dapple mare over there. Good luck, Burn, he mutters. Lifting the hunk of molten metal he has been working on, the smith takes it up in his tongs and suddenly plunges the red-hot metal into a bucket of water near the forge. There's a sharp hiss, and clouds of steam rise from the water. Quickly, you slip through the fence, grab the horse's reins, mount it, and ride for your very life. By the time the Draconians realize what is happening, it's too late to stop you. You gallop out of the ravaged town, following the tracks of the prison wagons as darkness begins to fall. It doesn't take long to catch up with them, but now that they're in sight, what are you going to do? You want to rescue your brother and the other hostages, but that's not going to help you combat whatever evil forces have destroyed Solace. If you decide to try to rescue your brother, turn to 6. But if you choose to wait and see if you can learn more about these invaders, turn to 23. Okay, people. I know what I want to do, but I don't want to skew your opinion. Should we again attempt to free my brother, or should we take the wait and see approach? What do you think? Toadie's pretty good. He's all right. Did you guys say Toad or Toadie? Or Toweedy? Is the E at the end harsh? Now, Nona, I don't know if you're trying to get my butt kicked. That didn't go so well the first time. I barely made it out of there. Anyone else have any opinions? All right, I guess not. Guess we're okay. Chris Mann's with you. Fortune favors the bold. Turn to 6. Okay. It's almost completely dark by the time the caravan stops on the outskirts of Gateway. The goblin guards and their draconian overseers set the women and children captives to work gathering firewood, doing the cooking, hauling water, and tending the horses. The goblins leave the men's wagon locked and make several of the women carry small bowls of half-cooked meat and water to the prisoners. Turn to 140. I wonder if this is the caravan that Fizban is in, and the heroes. From your hiding place in the bank of a river, you spot Keegan's wiry figure, a full head taller than the other children his age. Your brother is helping some of the women gather firewood. Then you see one of the goblins hand Keegan a bucket and shove him toward the river. That gives you an idea of how to distract the hobgoblins and free the hostages, but it will put your younger brother in some danger. Then again, you might be able to do it without him. If you decide not to risk your brother's life and go on alone, turn to 169. On the other hand, your brother's already in danger, and this could be your only chance to free him and the others. If you decide it's worth the risk to his life, turn to 167. Take care, Anthony. Thanks for tuning in, man. All right. Are we going to risk the brother's life? Or are we just going to do this on our own? Those are our two choices. Kind of with you, Nona. Toad? Yeah. I don't think I need my brother in order to rescue him. He's just a kid anyway. Yeah, I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to do it myself. 167. Nope, that's too far. All right, here we go. I'm with you, Joe. Thanks for joining. You watch as Keegan walks slowly towards the stream with his bucket. The goblins appear to be relaxing after their dinner, quaffing from wineskins. They start to laugh amongst themselves at bawdy goblin jokes, winking whenever one of the younger girls from Solace passes by the campfire. You duck deeper into the shadows of the marsh grass and wait for your brother to dip the pail into the shallow water. With the stealth of a snake, you creep closer. Quickly, you clap your hand over Keegan's mouth from behind. The startled boy tries to scream and twist away, but you hold him tight and stifle his cry. "It's me, Burn," you whisper urgently. "Don't make any noise." Keegan's face is a mixture of joy and anger when you release your grip on his mouth. "Don't attack me. Fight them," he mutters. "Where have you been? I thought they must have killed you back in Solace." "Shh. They'll wonder why you're not back with that water. You can complain all you want after we help the other escape. You'll have to do something to get those drunken oafs out of the way long enough to let me reach the shadows by the wagon." "What do you want me to do?" Keegan asks excitedly, his anger vanishing with the promise of adventure. "I thought I didn't involve him. I thought that's what 167 was." Huh. I wonder what the other option was. Go jump on their swords. All right, 31. You whisper your plan to Keegan and clasp his shoulder. "Can you do it? Just watch me and be ready," he replies confidently. Then he fills the bucket and hurries towards the campsite. The guards don't notice him until he reaches the tethered elk at the far end of the camp. Then one of them widens its glassy eyes and yells. "Hey you, boy! Bring the water, quick!" As soon as Keegan reaches the cluster of rowdy goblins, he throws the heavy oaken bucket into the campfire, scattering sparks and ashes everywhere and startling the drunken creatures to their feet. Keegan darts into the shadows behind the grazing elk and disappears into the darkness of the trees on the side of the camp opposite you. The goblins scream a string of curses, and a large hobgoblin and 2 draconians emerge from a large tent nearby. You see that the leathery wings of the dragon men are now unfurled, fanning the air. They're crouched on all 4 limbs, moving rapidly, with the aid of their wings, toward the forest in pursuit of Keegan. Quickly, you sneak to one of the prisoner wagons, holding the men, and begin to pry on the lock with your dagger. Recognizing you, the men watch silently. Someone cries, "Burn, look behind you!" Whirling around, you stare into the slobbering muzzles of a brace of huge war dogs, and your heart fills with dread. You know that war dogs are trained killers, protected by a thin layer of studded leather and a wide collar with needle spikes. You draw Fireborn, hoping to kill the beasts before their masters return to discover your trick. Both war dogs crouch and spring at you at once, snarling and snapping their massive jaws at your throat. You only have an instant to decide what to do. If you decide to fight the war dogs, roll 2 dice to hit and add your fighting skill score to the die roll. If total is 10 or more, turn to 127. If the total is less than 10, subtract 2 points and turn to 37. Remember that you can try to hit the war dogs more than once, just as long as you deduct 2 points each time you miss. If you have 26 hit points or more, you can try to run from the war dogs at any point during the action. Turn to 156. It is impossible to surrender. The war dogs would tear out your throat if you tried. Okay, I gotta fight or I gotta flee. Now the goblins don't know I'm here yet. Oh gosh, so here's the war dogs. And that's me completely ignoring them. Oh, what? Oh, I didn't even notice the war dogs. I can always, like, run, right? So, yeah. I add 4 to whatever this is. Come on, high numbers. So that's 10 total. If you decide to fight, if the total is 10 or more, perfect. Turn to 127. Awesome. 127. All right. We're doing okay-ish. No, no. It's true, I don't. I don't have to outrun the dogs. I just have to run faster than you. Oh, hold on. I got to show you the picture. That's us. That's what we did to that poor animal. You have fought wild dogs and wolves in the forests near Crystalmere. You are ready for the charge of the 2 war dogs. Ducking beneath the first, you grab its leather armor and fling the beast over your head. At the same time, you lunge toward with Firebringer just as the second dog leaps from your arm. For your arm. The first beast slams to the ground as its companion is impaled on your blade. You fling the dead animal from your sword and step quickly to the side of the stunned first dog before it can recover its breath. Fireborn slices through the spiked collar as if it were cloth, severing the beast's jugular vein before it can let out a whimper. Turn to 75. Now, I love animals, so that actually kind of bugs me, but they're going to attack me. So, you know, bugger off, dogs. You waste no time examining the corpses of the 2 dogs. You know you must free the warriors before their master finds the dogs' mangled corpses. You return to the door of the prison wagon and try once more to force the lock open with your dagger. Look out, Burn! Behind you! The warning from someone inside the wagon almost comes too late. You fling your body aside just as the heavy iron ball and chain from a battle flail smashes into the bars of the doors where your head had been only an instant before. You twist your head around to stare directly into the reptilian eyes of one of the dragon men. The short, powerful creature jerks its flail from the door and starts towards you, its thin black tongue slithering forward like a snake's. You prepare to meet its charge with your dagger in one hand and Fireborn in the other. Roll 2 dice to hit and add your fighting skill score to the total. If the result is 12 or more, turn to 29. If it's less than 12, subtract 4 hit points, then turn to 53. However, if you have less than 20 hit points, you don't have enough strength to fight and must surrender. Turn to 117. If you have 20 or more hit points, you can choose to make a run for it if you wish. Turn to 107. Okay, do I fight this Draconian? Do I try to run? Because I got more than 20 hit points right now. I'm inclined to fight. Should I? Maybe it's just the liquid courage from the Bushmills telling me that I could do it. I haven't rolled over a 10 yet. All right, Felipe. We're going to fight. I hope you got my back. I need 12. I got 4. Come on, baby. Damn it! Okay, if it's less than 12, subtract 4 hit points. Oh my goodness. So we're going to go 32. Then turn to 53. However, if you have less than 20, okay, so 53. Slowly, the dragon men circle around you, swinging the flail loosely in its scaly hand. It's nearly a foot shorter than you are, and wielding studded leather armor. Its dark wings are fluttering lightly, although there's no wind blowing. You're about to charge the creature when suddenly it drops to the ground on all four limbs and flaps its wings wildly. Its movement is so sudden that you don't have time to sidestep its charge, and the creature is on top of you instantly, swinging the heavy flail. The spiked ball explodes against your bare head, blinding you with a crushing pain. You vaguely remember the yells of the men in the prison wagon just before you slip into blackness. Roll 1 die for damage, subtract the result from your hit points, then turn to 114. Oh, man. Okay, I've been rolling low, so let's roll low again. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Ah! Why? You son of a gun. This is going just like last time. My rolls suck. All right, 114. I'm going to die. The next sensation you feel is one of softness, of warmth, and of movement beneath your body. You open your eyes and see a dark head with long hair silhouetted against the starry sky through the bars of a wagon. You're flat on your back and your head is lying on something soft. It takes you several moments to realize that your head is resting on a woman's lap. Shh, don't try to talk, she says in an accent you recall from somewhere. You've got a nasty wound on your head. You need to rest before we get to Pax Tharkas. Suddenly you recognize the accent. You're a Kender, you mumble weakly. You sit up quickly, searching wildly through your leather tunic for your money pouch. All right, where is it? You demand angrily. The Kender girl looks at you in amazement. I haven't an idea what you're talking about. Boy, that must have been some clout on your head. My money, you say furiously. Then the pain in your head brings a wave of dizziness over you, and you are forced to lie back down, this time with your head on the wooden bench. Oh, that, the girl says. Well, why didn't you say so? I took it, of course. Of course, you groan. But only to keep the goblins from finding it when they searched you, the Kender girl added with a hurt expression on her face. Sure, you think. Everyone in Krynn knows about Kenders and their talents for acquiring things, and they never mean to take them. Where am I? You ask weakly. In a prison wagon, on the way to Pax Tharkas, Byrne, the Kender says, handing you money pouch. How do you know my name? You ask suspiciously. Just who are you anyway? Turn to 63. Yeah, I think you're right, Nona, for sure. My name is Willow Lighthand, and you're Byrne Valenshield, the famous ranger of Crystal Mirror Valley, according to Keegan. He's asleep over there in the corner. Don't wake him. He told me all about you, she giggles. I can imagine, you grow irritably. Closing your eyes, you hope the Kender will take the hint and be quiet, even as you realize that it's useless. Kenders are insatiably curious and love to talk. Most people try to use intimidation to protect themselves against Kender curiosity, but Kenders are totally immune to the emotion of fear, so such threats are meaningless. The best way to handle them, you recall, is by being as nosy as they are. If you must talk, you say with a sigh, tell me about yourself. Where are you from? You're not from Solace. The only Kender I know from Solace is named Burfoot. Tasselhoff Burfoot. You know Uncle Tass? Willow exclaims brightly. Then maybe you know where he's gone off to. I came looking for him. I figure if anyone knew where Adventure was, Uncle Taz would know. Well, you're right about there, you say. He and those strange friends of his haven't been in town 30 minutes before they got mixed up with a barbarian woman and a blue crystal staff. They threw Hedrick, the High Theocrat, head first into the fire pit in the Inn of the Last Home, killed some of the Viewmaster's guards, and escaped in a stolen boat. At least, that's the story I heard. Wow, Willow says, her eyes shining. Then her face falls. And I missed it, she says sadly. Then she cheers up again. But it looks as if I've gotten involved in my own adventure, she adds. You shift position, trying to get comfortable. You note with some envy that your brother is still sleeping peacefully, and you wish the Kender girl would leave you alone. Kenders have a habit of getting into trouble, and you're in enough trouble already. Still, you do need information, but there's no telling where it will lead you. Even then, you may not be able to believe what you find out. If you decide to break off this conversation with the Kender girl, turn to 26. But if you choose to keep talking, even though you feel you'll probably regret this new friendship, turn to 137. All right, people. Do we hang out with the Kender girl, Willow? Willow, you idiot. Or do we, I don't know, tell her to bugger off? I like Kender personally, so I don't mind. 137, befriend Willow. All right. Everyone. Tasselhoff is like R2-D2. He's like the heart and soul of all of this entire saga, especially running through all of the ages of Krynn as we read. He's great. I can't imagine why people don't like him. 137. Here we are. Tell me, what is this Pax Tharkas place, and why are they taking us there, Willow? You ask. All I know about Pax Tharkas is what I've heard in folktales and legends, replies Willow. It's an ancient fortress high in the southern mountains, built by Kith Cannon's elves of Quillinesty and Thorbarden's dwarves as a monument to the truce between their peoples. Maybe the dragons came from Quillinesty, you say. I never did trust elves. You know better than that, Ranger, Willow says vehemently. That crack on your head must have knocked something loose in your brain. There's far more evil in this than you could find out in all of the Quillinesty forest. I can't imagine an elf having anything to do with hobgoblins and dragons, and neither can you, Burn Valenshield. Perhaps some of these mysteries will be solved when we reach Pax Tharkas, you mumble. You had forgotten that Kender knacked for insults and sarcasm. Then we'll have some answers soon enough, Willow goes on. I can see the towers of Pax Tharkas just ahead. Pax Tharkas. Yeah, that's true, Nona, for sure. All right, we're going to 124. You raise your head to look, but the pain is almost unbearable. Willow sees you collapse and cradles your head lightly in her hands. The coolness of metal touches your forehead as a golden medallion hanging from the Kender's neck brushes your skin. Lie still, Burn, she orders. That head wound looks terrible. Suddenly, you feel the gold medallion begin to pulsate with a strange warmth. It seems to flow into your forehead and on into your very brain. You feel as if every nerve in your head is aglow, and you see that a very soft light has started to throb inside the medallion. You feel the pain inside your head begin to diminish, and the warmth increases. Soon the glow is strong enough to reflect the shocked, wide-eyed look of surprise on the young Kender's freckled face beneath her coppery red hair. You may make a single healing throw. Roll 1 die and add the number to your total hit points. Then turn to 71. Okay, come on, baby. Give me a 6. 6. 6! Ah! All right. It's not bad. 71. 71. So she's a cleric. That's interesting. With the final burst of light, the medallion begins to fade until you feel only the touch of cold metal on your skin. You notice with a start that the pain in your head is gone, and even the gash is healed. Are you some kind of a witch? Or a cleric? You whisper softly. Of course not, Willow replies. Kenderfolk don't study magic. Uncle Tass is the only person I've ever known who talks about clerics. Until now, I thought this medallion was just a pretty piece of jewelry. Believe me, I'm as surprised as you are. It must be some kind of healing talisman, you say thoughtfully. Let's keep it handy. I have a feeling it may be just the kind of thing we'll need at Pax Tharkas. Turn to 133. A healing talisman. That's more like it. All right. The ancient fortress of Pax Tharkas is a massive stone structure with twin towers at each end of a huge wall and steps in the center of the wall leading to a central platform. The citadel straddles a mountain pass so that the only way to reach the valley behind it are either through the wall or over the steep mountain ridges. The only entrance you can see is a massive wooden portal in the center of the wall between two towers. The slave caravan winds its way past the front of the citadel, past the tower on the right, and into the mountains. Armed goblins are everywhere, and you see many of the squat draconians walking around them. You also see some much smaller figures who seem to be working as laborers for the goblins and draconians. When the wagon gets closer, you see that they're dwarves of some kind, dressed in filthy rags and covered with mud and grease. Their skin is ravaged by sores and scars of pox and other diseases. What kind of dwarves are those, Byrne? Keegan has joined you and Willow at the bars to get his first glimpse of Pax Tharkas. They're agar, also known as gully dwarves, says Willow in a low voice. They live like parasites in many parts of Krynn. I've seen them before. Disgruntled creatures and stupid as rocks, but I've always heard they remember everything they've ever seen and will sell any information at the drop of a coin. The caravan weaves its way up the steep slopes of a narrow track that opens onto a wide mountain meadow behind the fortress. Here, the wagon train rumbles to a stop outside the rear of one tower. Immediately, you see a squad of hobgoblins marching toward the caravan. Turn to 157. Oh, man. I hope we get to see the dragon.
You! The big one who likes to fight! Out!
The hobgoblin captain waits until you've jumped from the wagon, then pushes you forward toward the prison cart with the other men of Solace. As you climb into the prison wagon, you see that Willow and Keegan are being marched into the citadel by the goblins, along with the other women and children. Inside the men's wagons, the men of your village greet you. They tell you how glad they are that you tried to help, even if it proved unsuccessful. Somehow we'll find a way to escape from this place, and from whoever or whatever rules it, you vow in a whisper. We couldn't save Solace, but we can avenge its destruction. Let's each of you remember well those blackened Valenwood stumps and the cries of our children. Then swear vengeance upon whatever evil forces were behind such treachery. We can't fight these monsters until our women and children are safe, says one of the men. Those creatures aren't human. They'll kill our families in the blink of an eye if we tried anything. The wagon rolls past a gaping cavern in the side of the mountain on the side of the narrow plain behind the citadel. A stench of sulfur spreads throughout the narrow valley. It seems to be coming from the huge opening. The mouth of the cavern is bustling with the activities of the gully dwarves, who appear to be moving great mounds of rock from a high ledge down to the level of the cave entrance. On the ledge above, you see humans, naked at the waist, pulling cart after cart full of rocks to the waiting platform. Then the gully dwarves lower the rocks to their companions below. The wagon continues past the laborers and stops a second, even larger caravan. Here a burly hobgoblin with two filthy gully dwarves at his side greets the driver of the prison cart. More of them, eh? We'll get every bit of that ore if we have to sweat it out of all the humans left alive in Ansalon. The members of the hobgoblin squad laugh and approach the barren door of the wagon to let you and your companions out. The burly hobgoblin waits while the two Agar servants search everyone completely, removing rings, amulets, armor, a few small knives, and even a small hatchet one of the warriors had hidden under his arm. When they dump the confiscated property in front of their master, he shakes his fist at all of you.
You're here for one reason and one reason only, to serve Verminard, Dragon High Lord of Ansalon. Before you are the legendary iron quarries of Pax Tharkas. The steel from these mines will be smithed into weapons of war to be used by those who follow our master. You will serve the Dragon High Lord's purposes by mining the ore, which will be smelted by the gully dwarves in the furnaces behind you. If anyone objects to this noble task, we will see to it that his family is treated with special care.
The hobgoblin's sneer makes your skin prickle with silent rage. You must find a way to learn more about this mysterious person called Verminard. His title of Dragon High Lord seems to suggest his involvement in the destruction of Solace. As the goblin teamster drives the prison wagon away, you study your new captors and think about escape. The two gully dwarves are unarmed, and you know you could rout them both with little more than a battle cry, but the burly hobgoblin has the look of an old but seasoned warrior. Its hairy hide is more gray than black, and its faded eyes squint with age. Though its scale armor is tarnished and rusted, the broadsword at its side is polished and well oiled. You know that You could not fight it without a weapon, but you might be able to outrun the aged monster. If you have 29 or more hit points, you have strength enough to try to escape into the rugged country behind the mines. Turn to 34. If you have less than 29 hit points, you must stay and regain your strength while you try to learn more about Pax Tharkas. Okay, I got 30. It doesn't seem like it gave me an option. It said, if you have it, then do this. So I guess I'm going to try to run. If you have 29 or more hit points, you have the strength enough to try to escape into the rugged country behind the mines. Turn to 34. Okay, I'm going to try to run. Just as the hobgoblin and its two gully dwarf servants start to march you and the other men into the slave pits, you push one of the dwarves into his master's path. The wretched little creature tumbles beneath the hobgoblin's boots, tripping this oafish monster. Before it can recover from the surprise and pick itself up, you race from the trail towards the rugged cliffside near the smelter. Roll one die to see if your escape is successful. Add your physical prowess score to the die roll. If the total is 6 or more, turn to 72. If it's less than 6, turn to 170. All right, my physical prowess is 3, so I need a 3 or more. Come on, 3. Yeah, sweet. All right, 6 or more, turn to 72. We got this. We got this. 72.
Help! Stop the slave!
Behind you, the old hobgoblin is yelling to the guards in the smelter cave. Ignoring them, you race for the boulders on the slope. As you near the slope, you see a squad of armed goblins emerging from the cave. You turn away and run toward the larger cave, hoping that the heavily armored monsters will not be able to catch you. Turn to 128. Oh, we got this. We got this. For the first time since you return, you're glad that your battle armor is still back in Solace. In your ranger's hunting leathers, you soon outdistance your pursuers. Their spears land at your feet, but you dodge them nimbly. In a few more steps, you've reached the rugged slope, and you begin to climb out of their range to safety. At the top of the cliff, you bear to the right, away from the quarries. Soon, you're trotting effortlessly along a forested ridge. When you're sure that the guards aren't following, you relax against a giant mountain pine and begin to plan your next move. The evil forces at Pax Tharkas are much more powerful than you had imagined, and you decide that you must try to recruit enough warriors to invade the fortress. You wonder how much of Ansalon remains free of this powerful dragon High Lord's influence. You think immediately of the Quillinisty elves. You know they are a secretive and suspicious folk, but you may be able to convince them of the danger of the evil forces that threaten their forest homeland. Whether or not the elves are willing to help, you must do what you can to end Verminard's menace and rescue Keegan and the others from the slave pits of Pax Tharkas. Congratulations for escaping from Pax Tharkas alive. Reward yourself with 1 extra experience point the next time you play the adventure. Oh, heck yeah. All right, so I'm just going to make a note here at the very bottom, so I'll remember that. So they set this up so you play it multiple times to see either new endings or new failures and stuff. And so this experience is going to benefit you the next time. I don't know if I mentioned this. So experience points can be used as a bonus to your die roll, but you have to declare it beforehand. And whether or not you succeed in the die roll, you still lose the experience point. So that's how it works. Wait, what? Okay. The carrion crawl... Wait, what? Congratulations for escaping from Pax Tharkas alive. Reward yourself with 1 extra experience point the next time you play the adventure. So do I go to the next page? Is that it? I don't understand. Was that the end of this? Because if I go to the next page, it's talking about a carrion crawler, which I clearly am not in the middle of. Was this one of the 22 possible endings? That just encourages you to start over again? All right. I'm not happy about that. That's a strange, harsh stopping point. All right. What do you guys think? Should I go back to the first choice and then start it over again and see if we can get a different ending or a different result? I've been doing this an hour. I plan to do it for 2 hours. So what do you think? The elves shot me full of arrows. Worst ending ever. All right, you know what? I'm going to maybe get another finger or two of Bushmills. And for those of you who want to hang out, I'm going to do this over again. I'm not going to read all the beginning stuff. I'm just going to go to the first choice and start over with my new +1 experience point and my new health. Just to see if I can get to a different point. You know what I mean? So, give me just a minute, and I will be right back. Let me throw on some music for you guys while I'm gone, just so you get a little bit of Dragonlance in your system. This is the Dragonlance soundtrack of the movie. And I am back. Okay. Side note, that musical score, that soundtrack, was the best thing to come out of that animated film. The best thing. Okay, so if you guys remember, we started where I was walking towards Solace, thinking about Odic's spiced potatoes, and I heard a whisper from the side of the road asking me to get off the road and come to them. This is the first choice we have. Now, we realized last time that that ended up being my sister, or I'm sorry, my aunt. But this time, should I go talk to her again, or should I ignore her? What do you think? If you think that the voice might be some sort of trap, turn to 58. If it's the stranger warning might well make sense, turn to 130. What do you guys think we should do? The same thing as last time, or go completely different? I'm kind of inclined to do something different. All right, well, in the absence, I'm going to go with my gut. If you think the voice might be some sort of trap, turn to 58. So, 58 it is. Quickly, you glance up and down the road, but you don't see anything moving. The only thing you've heard is that hoarse warning cry. You hurry down the road towards Solace, ignoring the hitting voice. You must find out what happened to your home and your younger brother. You have not gone far, however, when suddenly two figures, heavily caped and hooded, leap out of the woods and grab you roughly. Turn to 134. Looks like we're getting to Pax Tharkas pretty quickly. Jeez. We get to see the Draconian right there.
Hey, let go! Who are you anyway?
You struggle to free yourself, but it's hopeless. Although you are strong and skilled in fighting, you are no match for these men, whoever they are. You can't even see their faces because of the hoods. They hold you firmly, one behind you, the other in front of you.
Who we are is not important,
the one in front of you says in a strange, hissing voice.
What is important is that it is illegal to walk on this road. Since when?
You shout angrily.
Silent since we took over,
he replies, laughing evilly. The strangers remove their hoods, and you see with horror that they are not men at all, but some sort of terrible cross between man and reptile. Their faces remind you of pictures you have seen in ancient books about the legendary dragons of Krynn, but the dragons never existed. You wonder if you're going mad. The dragon man in front of you releases its grip only to raise the hilt of the sword it carries. Obviously, it intends to strike you with it. If you decide to simply take the blow, knowing you can't fight two of these strange creatures, turn to 101. But if you elect to fight these horrible creatures, turn to 120. All right, this is saying knowing you cannot fight them. I'm inclined just to get hit, just to get on the caravan at this point, so we can try to, I don't know, do something else. Yeah, I'm doing 101. We're going a totally different direction this time. In every way. Yeah, take the hit. Oh, 100. The creature raises the hilt of its sword. You grit your teeth, but you keep your eyes right on the dragon men, determined to show this creature you are not afraid. Then the hilt of the sword slams into your jaw and pain explodes inside of your head. The last you hear as you lose consciousness are the two dragon men gurgling with laughter. Roll 1 die for damage and subtract the number from your total hit points, then turn to 114. Ah, yeah! Suck it, dragon men. It's like the best possible outcome. They just gave me a goosebump. All right, 114. I gotta be careful with this book. It feels like it's already like the binding's breaking or something. The next sensation you feel is one of softness, of warmth, and of movement beneath your body. You open your eyes and see a dark head with long hair silhouetted against the starry sky through the bars of a wagon. You're flat on your back and your head is lying on something soft. It takes you several moments to realize that your head is resting on a woman's lap. Shh, don't try to talk, she says in an accent you recall from somewhere. You've got a nasty wound on your head. You need to rest before we get to Pax Tharkas. Suddenly, you recognize the accent. You're a Kender, you mumble weakly. You sit up, searching wildly through your leather tunic for your money pouch. All right, where is it? You demand angrily. The Kender girl looks at you in amazement. I haven't any idea what you're talking about. Boy, that must have been some cloud on your head. My money, you say furiously. Then the pain in your head brings a wave of dizziness over you, and you're forced to lie back down, this time with your head on the wooden bench. Oh, that, the girl says. Well, why didn't you say so? I took it, of course. Of course, you groan. But only to keep the goblins from finding it when they search you, the Kender girl adds with a hurt expression on her face. Sure, you think. Everyone in Krynn knows about Kenders and their talent for acquiring things, and they never mean to take them. Where am I? You ask weakly. In a prison wagon, on the way to Pax Tharkas, Byrne, the Kender says, handing you your money pouch. How do you know my name? You ask suspiciously. Just who are you anyway? Turn to 63. My name is Willow, Willow Lighthand, and you're Bern Valenshield, the famous ranger of Crystal Mirror Valley. According to Keegan, he's asleep over there in the corner. Don't wake him. He's told me all about you, she giggles. I can imagine, you grow irritably. Closing your eyes, you hope the Kender will take the hint and be quiet, even as you realize that it's useless. Kenders are insatiably curious and love to talk. Most people try to use intimidation to protect themselves against Kender's curiosity, but Kenders are totally immune to the emotion of fear, so such threats are meaningless. The best way to handle them, you recall, is by being as nosy as they are. If you must talk, you say with a sigh, tell me about yourself. Where are you from? You're not from Solace. The only Kender I knew from the Solace is named Burfoot, Tasselhoff Burfoot. You know Uncle Taz? Willow exclaimed brightly. Then maybe you know where he's gone off to. I came looking for him. I figure if anyone knew where an adventure was, Uncle Taz would know. Well, you're right there, you say. He's one of those strange friends of his. Hasn't been in town 30 minutes before they got mixed up with a barbarian woman and a blue crystal staff. They threw Hedrick, the High Theocrat, head first into the fire pit in the inn of the last home, killed some of the Fewmaster's guards, and escaped in a stolen boat. At least, that's the story I heard. Wow, Willow says, her eyes shining. Then her face falls. And I missed it. Then she cheers up again. But it looks as if I've gotten involved in my own adventure, she adds. You shift position, trying to get comfortable. You note with some envy that your brother is still sleeping peacefully, and you wish this Kender girl would leave you alone. Kenders have a habit of getting into trouble, and you're in enough trouble already. Still, you do need information, but there's no telling where it'll lead you. Even then, you may not be able to believe what you find out. If you decide to break off this conversation with the Kender girl, turn to 26. But if you choose to keep talking, even though you feel you'll probably regret this new friendship, turn to 137. All right. I mean, I'm kind of at a place where I'd want to ignore her. We hung out with her last time. You know? So, yeah. I think I'm going to try to ignore her this time. Just to see where it goes. 26. Look, Willow, whatever your name is, you say irritably. This conversation is getting us absolutely nowhere. I wish you'd... Suddenly, another wave of dizziness sweeps over you, and the last thing you see as you drift into unconsciousness is the hurt expression in the girl's wide, Kender eyes. You awaken with the sharp smell of sulfur in your nose. You try to shift your arms and legs to a more comfortable position, but to your amazement, you find you can't move. You look around to discover that you're shackled to a stone wall. You seem to be in some sort of a dark cave, and in the distance, you can hear metallic clanging sounds as of metal tools against rock. You decide you must be held prisoner in a mine of some sort. Your head is throbbing terribly as your mind turns to the Kender girl. You wonder where she is and what would have happened to you if you had heard her out. At any rate, she can't be worse off than you are, because unless some miracle happens, it looks like you'll spend your last days shackled to the wall somewhere in a dismal mine. Oh my gosh! It just ended again! Oh my gosh! I don't even remember that many options after we befriended her. So is all the big adventure stuff before we get caught? Huh. All right. Well, I'm going to try this one more time. I'm only doing this for 2 hours. So we're going back again. And we're going to listen to our aunt, who we know is a good person. Since we're starting over, we start over with new hit points. Okay, 93. Smoke nearly suffocates you the time you climb the watchman's legs and look down the ruined blackened veil. Burn Valenshield, the hoarse voice cries, startled you confused. If you think the voice might be some sort of trap, turn to 58, but if you feel the stranger's warning might make sense, turn to 130. Well, it makes sense because we know it's our aunt, so we're going to 130. All right, you leave the road hesitantly. What is it, Clava? Wait, Clava, you whisper. You're not making any sense. Perhaps it was only a nightmare. There were dragons, I tell you, she says. Turn to 200. I want to go to a different path here. So we got to get to a point of separation. So 200. Oh my gosh. From you look on Clava's face, we've already done this the very first time we went through. You decide that there's nothing you can do to help Kagan. After all, you can't find an entire army. Turn to 144. If you're determined to find your younger brother, turn to 173. Okay. I feel like if we don't fight an entire army, that's going to be the end. So let's go to 173 and try to get my brother. Okay, and we did this the first time, so the chill in your blood, you turn away from the pleading Clava. The sight makes you grasp in horror, turn to 69. Giggity. The creatures, Theros is a giant smithy. You decide to attack the hobgoblin, turn to 79. So this is where your brother is being held and pulled into a wagon by a hobgoblin as it passes by you. I think I succeeded in that attack when I attacked him. Maybe I didn't. If you decide to attack the hobgoblin, turn to 79. If you prefer to remain hidden until you have a better opportunity to rescue your brother, turn to 14. I'm going to wait this time. So let's go to 14. Pressing yourself back against the tree stump, you watch the hobgoblin officer drag Keegan's struggling body toward the other captives. Your brother is larger than most 10-year-olds, and his adventures with you in the forests have hardened his young muscles. You smile at the gruff courses from the bulking hobgoblin as Keegan kicks his captor's hairy, unarmored skin. The officer flings the boy roughly to two of the goblins guarding the women and children, then growls a quick order. They bind Keegan's hands and feet, then leave him lying in the dust while they herd the other captives towards several wagons with stout iron bars. Turn to 82. 82. The goblins and draconians snarl commands in common to the captives as they prod them toward the wagons with their spears. Just as they start to pack them all into wagons, a shout from the road stops them. You see a stubby figure astride a horse riding quickly toward the caravan. As the figure grows closer, you recognize the loathsome face of Viewmaster Toady, the hobgoblin commandant of the goblins. Toady first appears in Solace only a few weeks ago, staggering around town with Hedrick, the High Theocrat, demanding to know the location of a mysterious staff of blue crystal. The Viewmaster looks over the prisoners, and his fat face splits into an evil grin.
Lord Verminard will be pleased with this lot, eh, Theros?
He calls out to the smithy, who is working at the forge, a huge hammer in his hand. Theros Ironfield turns around abruptly.
Someday you and this Lord Verminard will pay for what you've done to Solace,
he growls, taking a threatening step forward. Toady blanches and backs his horse up.
Stop him!
He croaks, and two draconians move between the smithy and the Viewmaster. Theros scowls and returns to his work. Toady gulps and mutters some unintelligible commands in the guttural dialect of goblins. You watch the goblin guard lead many huge elk forward and hitch them to the prison carts. Goblins climb up to the driver's seat, and a few draconian soldiers fall behind them. You notice, though, that most of the draconians apparently plan to stay in Solace. Toady yells to the lead team master, whose bullwhip snakes forward, cracking just over the ears of the lead elk. The wagons lurch forward among the screams of despair from the women and children. The Viewmaster watches the wagons rumble away behind a cloud of yellow dust before spurring his horse in the opposite direction. As both dust clouds settle, you step from behind the well and try to make some sense of the strange and terrible events that have happened so quickly in your previous quiet village of Solace. Turn to 33. I've never read that novel, Nona. I guess I'll have to check it out if it's that good. The strange draconians are a total mystery to you. You've never seen them anywhere in the Crystalmere Valley before. Solace seems to have been destroyed overnight by some powerful evil force of which Toady's ugly goblin horde is only a small contingent. You wonder what the old woman saw in the night skies to imagine them to be dragons. You want to know why your peaceful town has been razed and why many of its citizens, including Keegan, have been taken prisoner. The only thing you can do is follow the caravan and try to understand these terrible events and do whatever you can to undo them. You know you can't follow on foot. The caravan would get too far ahead. You need a horse, but they're scarce in Solace. Turn to 81. You see some of Viewmaster's horses tethered in the yard near the blacksmith's shop. That gives you an idea. Keeping an eye on the draconian guards lounging in the shade of the smithy's porch, you sneak out of the woods and creep over near the forge. "Theros!" you call softly, timing it in between the smith's clanging hammer blows. The big man raises his head, sees you, glances at the guards, then continues his work as if he had heard nothing, but you see him nod slightly to let you know he is listening. "I need a horse," you whisper. "Can you give me some cover?" The smith grins. "Take that dapper mare over there. Good luck, Burn," he mutters. Lifting the hunk of molten metal he has been working on, the smith takes it up in his tongs and suddenly plunges the red-hot metal into a bucket of water near the forge. There's a sharp hiss, and the clouds of steam rise from the water. Quickly, you slip through the fence, grab the horse's reins, mount it, and ride for your very life. By the time the Draconians realize what's happening, it's too late to stop you. You gallop out of the ravaged town, follow the tracks of the prisoners' wagons as darkness begins to fall. It doesn't take long to catch up with them, but now they're in sight. What are you going to do? You want to rescue your brother and the other hostages, but that's not going to help you combat whatever evil forces have destroyed Solace. If you decide to try to rescue your brother, turn to 6. If you choose to wait and see what you can learn more about these invaders, turn to 23. Okay, so we tried to rescue my brother last time, so this time I'm going to learn more. So 23. The elk that draw the caravan wagons are near exhaustion by the time the wagons near Gateway. In the failing light of dusk, the goblin team masters rein their animals to a halt on the outskirts of a devastated town. You shudder as you realize that the mysterious red dragons have scorched the plains of Banasinia as well as the valley of Crystalmere. As you watch the firelight in the distance, you decide that it would be better to follow the caravan to its final destination so that you may have an opportunity to learn more about these mysterious, frightening events that seem to threaten all of Ansalon. Still, you might have a better chance to rescue the prisoners if you surprise the goblins on the first night, but then you don't know as much about the dragons as you do now. But then you only know as much about the dragons as you do now. If you decide to change your mind and attack now, turn to 140. If you choose to continue following the caravan, turn to 146. You know what? I really don't know at this point, to be honest. I don't know what I should do. I want to attack them, but I'm just going to end up right where I was before, I think. So if I continue to follow the caravan... All right, I'm going to follow it. Screw it. 146. Finding a secluded thicket in which to hide the dapper mare, you lie in the sandy ground near the river and fall into an exhausted sleep. The sound of shouts and hooves wakes you at sunrise. You part the underbrush and see draconians walking through the goblin camp, kicking them and ordering them to their feet. You hear Toad's ugly little henchmen cursing and trying to make the dragonmen leave them alone, but their pleas are unsuccessful. You notice that none of the goblins even raises a hand to strike a draconian, no matter how angry the hot-headed creatures become. Soon the caravan is rolling southward again, past your hiding place in the thicket. You mount the dapper mare again and begin to follow the slow-moving wagons. By the time the sun begins to disappear below the thick canopy of trees to the west, you can see snow-capped peaks in the distant south. The caravan begins to move more slowly, threading its way among shadowy ravines and canyons. You know that it will soon be too dark to travel in these hills because of the steep drop-offs on both sides of the road. The goblins will be forced to camp again. It looks like a perfect place for your rescue attempt. All right, there it is. 11. You continue to scout the flank of the wagon train from a hillside until the wagons finally pull off at a wide mountain meadow. You dismount and watch as the goblins force the women and children out of their wagons. You recognize Keegan because of his size next to the other children and the women. The goblins force them to gather firewood and carry water from a swift stream cascading down the side of a cliff. The two of the women are ordered to cook a hasty supper for the goblins and dragon men. Seeing your chance to reach the men's prison wagon, you slip behind the hungry guards into the blackness by the last wagon. The warrior from Solace recognizes you immediately and beckons you closer to the bars. "Can you pry the locks open with your dagger, Burn?" one of them whispers urgently. "Can you give us weapons?" demands another. "Maybe," you answer quickly, "but let's get this door open first. Then we'll be able to." "Look out, Burn!" shouts one of the men. You duck instinctively as a spiked iron ball crashes against the bars of the wagon, mere inches from your head. The flail wraps around the bars, giving you time to drop down to one knee and draw Fireborn. Before you stands a Draconian, the stud of its leather armor gleaming in the moonlight. The powerful creature wrenches its weapon free from the bars and steps backward. You begin to circle each other cautiously. You've never fought a Draconian before, and you're not sure of their weaknesses or strengths. Your fellow Solacians in the cage fall silent with fear as you wait for your opportunity to strike. If you decide to fight the Draconian, roll 2 dice to hit and add your fighting skill score to the total. If the result is 12 or more, turn to 29. If your total is less than 12, deduct 4 hit points and turn to 53. You may elect to surrender to the Draconian at any point during the action. If you do, turn to 117. Finally, if you have at least 24 hit points, you can try to escape. No, man, it's on. I'm using an experience point, and I'm going to fight. Let me just make sure of one thing really quick to see if the experience point just gives me 1 point or to use experience points, you must decide how many points you will spend before the roll of the dice. Okay, so I can spend more than 1. So I'm going to spend 2 experience points. That puts me at 3. Add 2 to my roll, which I need a 12 or more. So I already added 2, so fighting is 6. So I need at least 6 between the 2 dice. Freaking believable. I thought that was a given. I thought I was going to just own that. Ugh. What a pain in the tuchus. Deduct 4 hit points and turn to 53. Jeez. All right. 53 it is. What a bunch of crap. I hate these dice. They screwed me last time, too. Slowly, the dragonman circles around you, swinging the flail loosely in its scaly hand. It's nearly a foot shorter than you are and wearing studded leather armor. Its dark wings are fluttering lightly, although there's no wind blowing. You're about to charge the creature when suddenly it drops to the ground on all 4 limbs and flaps its wings wildly. Its movement is so sudden that you don't have time to sidestep the charge, and the creature is on top of you instantly, swinging the heavy flail. The spiked ball explodes against your bare head, blinding you with a crushing pain. You vaguely remember the yells of the men in the prison wagon just before you slip into blackness. Roll 1 die for damage, subtract the result from your hit points. Turn to 114. Now I get a high number. Now I get a high number. Unbelievable. 114. And this is where we meet Willow, I believe. Next sensation you feel is a softness of the body, blah, 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 blah. How do you know my name? Yes, especially turn to 63. This is frustrating, ending up in the same place. My name is Willow. Willow Lighthand, a little on the nose by the name. If you want to break off the Kender conversation with the Kender, we know that'll end it, so we have to continue talking to her. Turn to 137. So 137. Tell me what this Pax Tharkas place is. Maybe the dragons came from Quillinesty. I never trust the elves. I can see the prisoner of Pax Tharkas just ahead. 124. Here's your head to look. You may make a single healing throw. Roll 1 die and add it to your total. 3. Come on now. I mean, that's something, right? You can't complain about something. You may make a single healing throw. So 71. We've already been all through with all this. That's why I'm rushing through this part. With final burst of light, the medallion begins to blah, blah, blah. Let's keep a hand. I feel it's handy to have that. 133. It's just acknowledging the magical talisman that heals. Okay, here's the wagon train rumbles to a stop outside the rear of one tower. Immediately using the squad of start marching the caravan. Turn to 157. We've already done this, so I'm just skipping by it really quick. We get a long narrative about arriving, being instructed that we're doing this for the Dragon High Lord, mining ore. Okay, if you have 29 or more hit points, you have strength enough to try to escape in the rugged country behind the mines. Turn to 34. This is an endless loop of crap. If you have less than 29 hit points, you must stay behind and regain your strength while you try to learn more about Pax Tharkas. You must stay. So it's telling me I have to run. because I do have more. All right. Well, I do have more, so I'm going to go to 34. Let's see if there's another option that happens here. I don't remember if there is. I don't think there is. This is beginning to be very frustrating. Yeah, I could, Nona. I could just stay behind anyway, but I'm trying to run this as correctly as possible. You know what I mean? Just the hobgoblin is 2 gully door servants, blah, blah, blah. Okay, roll 1 die to see if your escape is successful. Add your physical prowess to the score. 6 or more. My prowess is 3. 3, that's 6 or more, 72. Turn away and run away from the 128. This is going to end me up right where I was at the very first time. Yep. Congratulations, you escaped from Pax Tharkas. Okay, that's super frustrating. Ugh. So my final review of this is Bupkis. All right, so maybe in a different time when I'm not wildly frustrated by this doggone book, I might try it again. But we just went through 3 different playthroughs and ended with 2 of the possible 22 endings that actually didn't have anything to do with saving the prisoners of Pax Tharkas. And that's really frustrating. So, that's why I have this. Doggone. All right, I'm not going to do another one because, quite frankly, I'm a little annoyed. That was Prisoners of Pax Tharkas, everyone. Yay. The next one I'm going to play, I don't know when, maybe next week or something, is going to be the Soul Forge. Now, that is the one where Raistlin Majir takes his test in the test of high sorcery. That is going to be awesome. So, look forward to that. Hopefully, I will get new dice, or I will borrow my son's dice. Like an idiot, I gave all my gaming stuff away a couple years ago because I'm a big dummy. So I don't have any dice. These are from Clue, my board game of Clue. So thank you so much for watching. That's it for this first episode of Gaming Dragonlance Prisoners of Pax Tharkas. What did you think of the game book that I clearly did not successfully read through? Have you ever been a fan of the Choose Your Own Adventure style novellas, and do you have a favorite one? Lastly, what do you think about the advanced Dungeons & Dragons mechanics used in the game book? Feel free to email me at info@dragonlance-saga.com or leave a comment below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and you can support this channel by becoming a patron on Patreon, a member of this YouTube channel, and you can pick up Dragonlance gaming materials using my affiliate link. All links are in the description below. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of the DragonLance Saga, and I hope you'll join me in the celebration. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with DragonLance Saga, and until next time, Slán Javar. I will definitely be reading Lord Toad. No, thank you. You're welcome, Joe.